Welcome to the Erasmus Foundation podcast. My name is Paul Nugent. Are you looking for answers to life and its meaning? Then this may well be the very podcast you need to listen to. In a series of podcasts, we are going to look at the difficult questions of life and apply spiritual knowledge to find out the answers. Today, we're going to look at the question, why is there so much illness in the world today? And with me to talk about this is Padina from Spirit. So greetings, Padina.
Greetings.
We'll start off with the most simplest of questions, maybe not the simplest of answers perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, what is the cause of illness?
The cause of illness, generally speaking, is an imbalance within the physical makeup, the physical body of the person living upon the earth. It will appear within the aura before it starts to show symptoms within the body. But that perhaps is not important to know, but I mention it in passing.
Illnesses that we get, like a lot of things, are meant to be?
Sometimes, yes, an illness for that particular person is tapestried. That means it is within the structure of the tapestry of life, their life, that a certain illness is meant to be. Not all illnesses are meant, of course, but sometimes a person is meant to contract an illness.
So today, we look around the world and illness seems to be on the increase. There seems to be a lot of it at the moment. Why would you say that was the case?
There is, and related to what I said earlier, it is caused more and more by the growing, developing imbalance within man and also his environment. Because man is eating the wrong things, he's eating processed foods which are not healthy. He is poisoning his air. He is poisoning his water. Everything within your world is being polluted. Other creatures which man insists upon eating are also infected by the pollutions of mankind. And so in turn, they and their unhealthy bodies are being processed and passing on, compounding the situation to increase damage to mankind's bodies.
So these illnesses that are on the increase, are they new or they've been introduced?
No, they are not new. But what is new is the increase in the unhealthy, unwholesome environment throughout your world, and the increase in global temperatures, which is affecting your environments. And this is creating a situation to encourage the development and the growth, the propagation of pathogens more and more. So old diseases that remained redundant, dormant from the past, are becoming more stronger, are developing and coming back into life, causing more and more illness throughout your world.
So, who is responsible then, would you say, Bettina, for this? Mankind?
Very simply, mankind.
Okay.
There's no other. Man has caused all this imbalance because of the imbalance within man. And in turn, his world has become out of balance.
So, there's no real new strain or germ that's been introduced. It's just the fact that we are more susceptible to the diseases
Yes,
now.
because of the conditions within your world, the environment, the air, the water, the earth, which supplies much of your foodstuff. This is creating the situation to encourage bacteria, viruses to form, to grow, to mutate and develop new strains, which is what is happening at present, particularly with your coronavirus. This is creating more and more mutations. And that has been affected by other viruses, such as the flu, the AIDS virus. All of this has made some impact upon the development of your more recent diseases. They might seem new within your world, but in truth, they have always been there in much, much smaller strength, dormant, really only coming to life through the activities and the mistreatment of your world by mankind.
What can be done about this then? I mean, you mentioned the coronavirus. Let's take that as an example of a disease at the moment. So,
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, we are introducing many vaccines to try and combat this. Is
Mm-hmm.
this at all helpful or useful to do this?
I would suggest no. It gives people hope, yes, but the practice has shown very clearly, the evidence is there to show that in spite of all these vaccines, the disease has not gone away. If anything, it is growing in strength. And what does that tell man? What needs to be done is that man needs to clean up his act. He needs to clean his environment. He needs to prevent the pollution and poisoning of his earth, to stop putting chemicals upon his earth for his farming practices, to consider rethinking about the way his foods are processed. Man should be getting back to providing growing food for himself in a healthy fashion and cooking it himself in a healthy fashion. I have to say at this point that much has been said about the difficulties people are facing and will continue to face increasingly. The difficulties of gaining food. Now, it does not require too much cost to obtain a few basic vegetables and cook these yourself. It becomes more expensive if people are relying on purchasing ready-made processed foods, which lack the health and benefits and are more expensive in many ways.
So we're the cause, really, is what you're saying, of the way disease is on the increase because of
Oh, indeed,
the way we polluted the world, the way we're polluting ourselves,
indeed,
really.
yes.
Okay.
And this will only change when man has learnt to change. Some of what I'm saying may not be acceptable to people. They may not want to change their way of life. They may make all the excuses for why they cannot cook food themselves or for their children. But these problems you are talking of will not go away until man has revised his attitudes and changed his behavior.
Okay, Virginia. So we assume that man has got to change his behavior or it'll be changed for him, I'm guessing. Because we can't carry on the way we are, can we?
Well, man seems determined to do so, and nothing of what I have said is being discussed publicly. Only, as always, man looks to find some way of resolving the symptoms of the disease, of the problem, never looking at the root cause. And the consequence of this is that, in spite of all his efforts, finding more and more vaccines as an answer to this problem is not going to resolve it.
You've spoken earlier on about tapestries and that some diseases are meant to be because they're
Mm-hmm,
tapestried.
mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming then that people are going to get this COVID disease if it's tapestried, whether they do anything about it or not. Is that correct?
To a degree, that is true, yes. But there is a great deal of this disease infecting people across the world, which needn't be so, which is not necessarily the means for people to leave this earth and go back into spirit, back home. But even so, as man starts to improve his world, then as a consequence, perhaps a freedom of choice, then the collective tapestry for your earth might then allow for changes to occur in accordance if man is developing and improving his behavior and mistreatment of his world.
If man does do what you suggest he must do, would you think, or would you believe, or would you imagine that people's lifespans would increase?
Eventually, in time, a long time in the future, people will live longer. Yes, because their way of life will be very, very different to what it is now.
So then let's look at the future, Badina. So
hmm
how would you perceive the world to be if man does, as we say, what he should do in the future? What would the future be like?
A lot cleaner, that is for sure. A lot less activity of man will be showing. It'll be more that nature will take over because man will learn to work with the natural law and not conflict with it as he does at present. And if man chooses to fight against the natural law, to damage the natural law, unfortunately, the result of that is that he will always lose. And what is evident now is to teach man how the natural law is responding. Naturally, it cannot do it in any other way. That if man behaves in certain fashion, then as a simple natural consequence of his behavior, the natural law must respond accordingly. Cause and effect, as simple as that.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Badina. Well,
Thank you.
we're coming to the end now, once again. So, is there any other message or statement you'd like to make before we
No,
close?
no, I do not think so. It is simply that man has to take responsibility for himself. As simple as that. It may be something he may not wish to hear, but that is the simple truth. And until that happens, then the ongoing consequences of his behavior will affect man more and more.
The Erasmus Foundation is a spiritual teaching and healing foundation based in Laxfield, Suffolk, in the United Kingdom. We have a webpage, www.erasmus-foundation.org. If you would like to be a guest on our podcast, or indeed have further questions for us, then please contact me on paul@erasmus-foundation.org, and we'll do our best to accommodate you. Thank you very much for listening.